Hey everyone, it's Casual Boops. I'm going to try my hand with this whole content creation thing, and today will be video number one. We'll give it a shot here. First going over the new equipment in the game since update 1.1, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. But I'll run through kind of my take on these things because I've seen a lot of speculation, a lot of chat about this stuff and what's good and what's bad and what's worth using and what isn't worth using anymore, and I'll primarily focus on what's new. And for instance, we'll start with the improved rotation mechanism. For instance, this one's been getting a lot of attention because of the third line there. If you can read it there, the minus 12.5% dispersion during vehicle movement and traverse, as well as during turret rotation. And if you notice, that's exactly what a vertical stabilizer does, and people love those. This has been getting very good reviews lately. People have been talking about it, and I tend to actually be a little bit less high on this, and I think there's an important consideration to be made here. See, turret dispersion, how much the turret, the aiming reticle blooms out, is a function of how fast your turret moves. So I'm sure you guys can all relate to this. If you're aiming in on a target and you got a really derpy gun, and then you move your mouse a little bit at a time, the reticle stays pretty small. But if you snap the mouse around, the reticle blooms out really big. And so this equipment here allows you to move your turret even faster than before, which will make the bloom even worse than before. But then it goes ahead and counteracts that with the minus 12.5%. So in theory here, it would be counteracting its own downside to basically a net zero. So you do get the turret traverse bonus and the track traverse bonus, which is not nothing. But unfortunately, that's going to cause you to have more bloom, and then it goes ahead and counteracts that. So there are cases where this is really useful. Things like an M56 Scorpion. Those things, I don't know if you have one of those guys, but the Tier 7 tank destroyer, the turret traverse on this thing is just ungodly slow. And so I think this is one of those things that's going to be really useful, the rotation mechanism on this. So it can turn the turret a little bit faster. Things without a turret that turn really slow could be really useful on, but generally speaking, I don't think it's really going to do a whole lot for accuracy necessarily. One other thing that I've thought about here is the Conway, and also the Challenger and the Charioteer. These tanks all have really slow turret traverse speeds, and if you've ever played these guys and you're trying to flank around and get the turret on somebody and circle them, you'll all know the turret turns very slow, and it can be tough to then, if somebody's to your left and you're going to circle around them, you want to have the turret turn to the left already before you even make that maneuver, or you're not going to get the gun on the target. You won't circle them before they shoot you and maybe take you out. So things like this, I think, are a really good really good candidates for the rotation mechanism. Possibly a tortoise, like I said, things that don't have turrets that just need to turn. Are really good candidates for these things. But to throw it on something like just anything like a heavy tank, I just don't know that you're gonna see the benefit there. That having a little bit, the primary benefit is going to be the fact that you can turn your turret and your tracks more, but you're not going to get as much of a bonus from the dispersion as you might otherwise think. Vents are about the same as before. If you don't know what those things are, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there describing what they do. Gun lane drives the same as before. Rammers the same. Improved aiming. So this one I wanted to talk about. This sounds great. The minus 5%, minus 7%. If you ever let's just do some math here. If you have a tank that has 0.4 base dispersion, something like an IS-4 now, I think is what has that, and you multiply that by 0.95. So with the improved aiming minus 5%, that would bring the base accuracy fully aimed down to 3.38, which the difference between 0.4 and 0.38, generally you're not going to snipe with this with a 0.38 any more than you would with a 0.4. Is it better? Yes, but is it worth an equipment slot? I don't think so. And on things that have really good accuracy already, like the Gorilla, The Grill 15, I think that has, what, 0.27? Bear with me for 1 minute. I don't want to tell you the wrong answer. 0.25. Okay, with just a decent crew. So if you have 0.25 times 0.95, so you're going to do I think this even rounds to 0.24. So you're almost not seeing any benefit at all. So if you have something with really, really terrible accuracy, you'll see a benefit like maybe a T49 when it's fully aimed in. But then again, how often do you get a fully aimed shot on a derp T49? Not that often, right? So I'm not super high on the improved aiming necessarily. I mean, how often do you have time to just sit there and let the gun aim all the way in to take advantage of your little bit, slightly improved accuracy? So Spall Liner got improved. If you ran a Spall Liner before, you're probably going to run a Spall Liner now. I don't think it's that great of an idea. I didn't think it was a great idea before, and I don't really think it's a great idea now. But it has a use. If you're trying to run a blocked mission with a mouse or something like that, and people are spamming HE, you can tell Arty to F itself. This is a great way to do that. It's a little bit better now than it was before. It had all the same things. The improved hardening. This is a new Rockstar, in my opinion. Excuse me. You can throw this in just about anything here, and you can see what it does. The big benefit that you're going to see from this is if you're grinding a tank line and you have a stock tank, you throw one of these on there, and then if you have free XP to spend on the tank, you can spend that free XP on the gun, and then go ahead and mount it because you have the suspension load capacity increased already. So that allows you to better utilize the credits and the free XP that you have. You can always grind credits, and these cost 600,000 or 300,000 on sale. So you spend 300,000 and get one of these on sale, and you throw it on there, and then you can save free XP, which takes a lot longer to grind up. So let's say you've got like something that's like a tier 9, for instance, like the Waffle. Let's say you're starting out stock, everything is stock, and you want to just get to the big boy gun right away. You can throw down the XP to get the 64,000 XP on that, and save the 22,000 XP that you would have otherwise had to have spent on the tracks. So you get to save 22,000 XP, free XP, just for spending 300,000 credits. You can make that in a few games at tier 8, or if you're free to play, it's going to be a little more time consuming. But I would still, I don't know about you guys, I would still rather spend 300,000 credits or even 600,000 credits than 22,000 free XP. I mean, it takes a lot longer to grind up free XP. So, but anyway, so that's one use for this. The other use, obviously, is if you're in something that is, it's very important that you don't get tracked. The suspension durability, that means that it's like, if it would have otherwise taken you, one shot to get tracked, it might take you 2 shots to get tracked now. Obviously, the suspension repair speed you can see, so it's going to repair the tracks even faster. This replaces the old toolbox, and then you just straight up get more hit points, which everybody loves that. So this is going to be great for things that have things that are meant to push, right? So like your assault tank destroyers, E3s, T95s, things that just cannot get tracked, or else they die, right? So Tortoise, Badger, things like that. I actually threw one of these on my 279E, which here it is, in addition to some other things. And at this point, with this configuration, with the repair speed from this and the repair speed from the configuration, which I'll come to next, I think and obviously running a large repair kit allows for faster repair as well. The bottom line here with everything, the result is whenever it takes a lot for me to get tracked, 2 or 3 full artillery shells, and even then when I do get tracked, the tracks are repaired in about 3 seconds. So 3.5 seconds. So basically this thing never stops. So that's one of the things it's really, really good for. So this is a really good thing to be utilizing on, like I said, things that just don't have a turret, or things you're grinding. These are really good for that. Okay, moving on. The improved modified configuration. So this one is it's basically going to go on everything that's Chinese. You see, you get the bonus to the repair speed, and that's great. But the reason this thing is actually worth running is the ammo rack, fuel tank, and engine durability. No chance, reduction in chance to fire, chance to get engine fires. So basically, if you've ever played through any of the Chinese tanks, I have. They're all awful, except for the heavy tanks, in my opinion. But especially the mediums and the heavies, good lord, it's like the ammo rack is on the outside. And so I threw one of these on my Chinese tanks right away, and it's made a huge difference. You're not getting ammo racked every time you get shot. You're not getting lit on fire. When you do get tracked, you get the nice little bonus of it being repaired much more quickly. And here the big bonus there, then minus 65% to the loading speed penalty and loss of engine power upon damaging of modules. So that means when you do finally get ammo racked, your reload isn't doubled. It doesn't go from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. It goes from 10 seconds to 16 seconds. So, or 15 and a half or whatever it is, math. The point is, it is going to still make you more combat effective, even when those bad things do eventually happen. Engine fires, good God, so if it lights on fire a lot and it gets ammo racked a lot, cough T54, you probably want to throw one of these on there because, you might be losing out on vents, but, we're looking at, 6% to all crew skills versus never getting ammo racked or tracked. Well, you're going to get tracked. Never getting ammo racked, never getting set on fire, that's an easy trade for certain tanks. So I would give this a shot, absolutely. Grousers, don't use them, straight up. End of story. Camo net, probably don't use them. There's the common misconception here is that they give you, people think that they're going to be unspottable, but what camo nets do is they increase your camo rating. But when you shoot, you can see here, this is, I think, still a T27, this is a 113. So the stationary shooting camo after shooting is 1.53. So if you had a camo net on, your base camo rating when you're sitting still is 8.5. So you take that and you multiply it by, 5%. So, excuse me, they must have changed this. Originally, this gave you a bonus to the camo rating of the actual tank of, I believe it was 15 or 20%. And so what I said before, where it would boost your base amount and then you'd shoot and the amount goes lower, so the boost is lower, so you still get spotted when you shoot. Well, this doesn't appear to be the case anymore. This is just a straight flat bonus of 5 and 7.5%, which is not nothing. I think this also compares to the other. Let's see here, the low noise exhaust system, similar kind of thing, 3 to 4 or 5%. I think depending on what class uses it all the time. So let's switch to a light tank here, just so we can actually speak intelligently about this. Okay, so camo net, 10%, 12% when you're sitting in a bush or when you're sitting still for 3 seconds. That's not bad, that's not nothing, but that's not that awesome either, especially when you can use this for 8% all the time. So this is going to be much better if you're an active scout. I might consider running something like this. If you're a passive scout, I think I'd be running binoculars rather than camo net, and just hopefully you have your crew trained with the camo skill. Or this is the kicker, you can run the natural cover directive, and if you already have it trained, you get an additional 10% to the vehicle concealment. You see it right there. So that's exactly what the camo net was going to give you, but only after you sit still for 3 seconds. So I don't really see a reason to use a camo net really on anything. I see I have it on a couple of different things down there, but probably have to, I think I have it on an artillery, because why, what else are you going to put there? But this shouldn't probably be used on anything. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so we've covered all of these things, improved aiming, covered all of this. I want to come back to the turbocharger because I love these. Okay, so coated optics are just as good as they were before, and then there's the new hotness here, the Commander's Vision System. I think that the Commander's Vision System is great. when it's used by something that has good vision already, or if it's on a scout that additionally has coated optics. So I haven't been able to throw these on anything yet because I'm waiting for an equipment sale, but my plan is to use coated optics in conjunction with a commander's vision system, so that hopefully I can see the entire world. It's not obvious to me. The wiki hasn't been updated yet, so I know before. Let's see. There are other skills like I believe it was Eagle Eye or not. Let me give me one moment and let me find it. There are skills that designated target. That's what it was. So this makes an enemy vehicle visible for an additional 2 seconds. But what they don't tell you in the tooltip here is that you must be pointing your turret, your aiming reticle, at the vehicle that's going to be spotted for an additional 2 seconds. So it's not just everything you spot, it's the things you are looking at specifically. And there's like a cone of about 3 degrees out in every direction. So this is not obvious. You need to read the wiki to know this. And so the reason I bring that up is it's not obvious whether the commander's vision system will behave in the same way. And if it does, I think that this will be substantially less useful, right? Because that means you have to be scanning around, you'll be moving your turret around to make sure that you're looking at all the things so that you spot them through the bushes and things. Or I think if it's just everything in the entire, everything that you spot, then this becomes awesome, right? But this isn't going to be useful if you aren't already at max view range. So I think that the conversation here is if you need optics to get to max view range, you should be running optics. If you have max view range, then without optics, then it's a tough conversation. I think it's probably I think you could probably safely run either one, but on a lot of light tanks, that I'm probably going to be running both, and I think that should be awesome. So the improved radio set, I think this is going to be the same thing as before with the perk I just mentioned. Again, the plus 2 seconds to the duration of the enemy vehicle is visible to you. So also it's not clear to me. We need to, when the wiki updates, we'll be able to see. If this is going to be visible to the entire team, then that's one thing. There's some benefit there. I think that might be worth considering. But if it just says visible to you, so it's not clear whether that is visible to the entire team or just you're the only one that sees it. I don't think there's anything else in the game that behaves that way, where you'd be spotted for just you and nobody else. But if that is the case, this becomes way less good. And even then, 2 seconds, if you're, I'm not entirely convinced of the efficacy of this to begin with. Low noise exhaust system, we talked about this before. This is neat, but I'm not sure that I would use this over other things that I will now get to. So not a bad idea for scouts and only for scouts, but I don't know. It's not 8% is, especially when Commander's view system, the CVS exists. I'm not entirely certain that the low noise exhaust system is going to be worth running. Like either you're in a bush and you have good camo, or you don't. And so if you have great camo, like a T100 has, what is it? With a really good crew and food and everything else, the camo on this is 42%. So this would bring it to just about 50%. So both of those numbers are excellent. I mean, excellent. I don't know that it would be worth the slot to make your camo go from really good to really, really good necessarily. So now I'm going to take this moment to get to the last one here that I have just adored, the turbocharger. Oh dear God, this thing is massively underrated for a lot of tanks. I would use this on most, not everything obviously, but the candidates that I would especially use this on are things that have good engine power but are limited by their top speed. For instance, a Lanson, those things are really zippy. They get around really fast and they have a top speed of like 50. If you've ever played one of those things, they're just zipping around the map all the time, limited by their top speed. So if you throw a turbo on there, and it's a medium tank, so it gets 10% of the engine power. So it's even more zippy, and it gets 5 km/h top speed boost. So you're going to be going 55 everywhere. Okay, so ditto for the M48 Patton. It's a great tank. It's plenty, it's got great engine power and stuff, but it's severely limited by its top speed. Well, you throw one of these on there, and all of a sudden you're going 53, or maybe it's 50. I don't remember exactly. Let me just see. Again, don't want to tell you the wrong answer here while we're going over the things. So I have it installed, and like I said, I've been loving it. So the top speed now here is 50. This thing can just fly around the map. To be honest, I would even run, when there's an equipment sale, I plan on running it on a 140 as well, because the 140 I think has good enough view accuracy that it can afford to lose the vertical stabilizer and instead run the turbo. It just has excellent aiming stats all around, and I'm not really shooting on the move necessarily. Usually in a 140 I'm going to be either brawling or I'll have time to sit and aim, but the odds of me trying to shoot something moderately far away while moving, not that often. And it already has great dispersion, so I don't really need that extra little boost compared to, my God, the extra engine power is going to be substantial. So I think the turbocharger is a huge unsung hero of this equipment update. Everybody's caught up on the CVS, which could be good depending on how the wiki shakes out and we learn the specifics of how this works. But I think probably the biggest thing in this game now is going to be the turbocharger, and I see this being used a lot. I think the 140 could. I've said this before. I think right now the 907 is considered meta because it's got essentially the same stats as a 140. It's got a little bit better armor, but than a 140, but it gets this trollish V-shaped hull and better, so it's got better armor. But the 907 has not such good. The aiming stats are not very good, so you need the vertical stabilizer to hit anything. Well, the 140 has much better accuracy, so the 140 can afford to lose the V-stabs, and you can throw your turbocharger on there, and that all of a sudden makes this thing go 60. So you're going to be substantially faster in a 140 than you were in a 907. And I think once you take the V-stab off of the 140, it's got about the same accuracy or same gun stats as a 907. So basically, the choice is going to be between a 907 that goes slower or a 140 that has the same everything but goes faster. So I have a feeling that the 140 it's going to take a little bit to catch on, but the 140 with the turbo is going to be meta. And of course, there's the memes. Throwing a turbo on an E50M and an E50, that's just... I'm very excited to see some videos cropping up here shortly of people doing the things with the E50M and a turbo. The one thing I do want to say is I think that this update is probably the best thing that's happened to World of Tanks in a long time, just because this discussion that I'm having, well, it's not really a discussion because you're not talking back to me, but this video that I'm making about optimizing equipment for certain roles is happening. And before, it was basically a one-size-fits-all. You basically running, either optics or vents, and then rammer, and then a vertical stabilizer, and that's basically it. There's some fringe cases, but that's basically how it would go down. And now there's this conversation of how do you want to set things up, and I think this is just the variety here is a breath of fresh air. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Am I way off base? Am I wrong? Do you like these videos? Do you like what I did here? Would you like to see more? What else would you like me to do? Or should I just stop? I don't know. Did you not like this? Let me know. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye.